If you only memorize one idea for AB-730, make it this. Copilot is not a magic answer box. It is a work assistant whose answer depends on context. The app you are using matters. The files you reference matter. The permissions on those files matter. And the difference between a one-time chat and a reusable agent matters. That is the foundation for a lot of Microsoft-style AB-730 questions. In this lesson, we are going to build the mental model you need before we get into prompting, security, agents, and business content workflows later in the course. AB-730 is not asking you to become a developer, an Azure architect, or a Microsoft 365 administrator. For this part of the exam, Microsoft wants to know whether you can reason like a business user using AI responsibly inside Microsoft 365. That means you should be able to look at a scenario and answer questions like, is this a normal Copilot chat request, or does it need an agent? Should the user ground the prompt in a file, a meeting, the current app, or web information? Does the answer need citations, source review, or human validation? Could privacy, permissions, or data protection change what Copilot can return? Those are the traps. The wording may sound simple, but the exam will often hide the decision point inside a workplace scenario. When people first try generative AI, they often think the prompt is the whole story. For AB-730, that is too simple. In Microsoft 365, Copilot can use different kinds of context depending on where you are and what you reference. If you ask Copilot in Word to summarize a document, the document is part of the working context. If you ask Copilot in Teams to recap a meeting, the meeting transcript, chat, and shared material may matter. If you use Copilot Chat and point it at a file, that file becomes important. If the experience uses web grounding, current public web information can also shape the response. The exam clue is this. When the question asks for the most relevant or most accurate answer, look for the option that gives Copilot the right source of context. A weak answer says, ask Copilot to summarize it. A stronger answer says, ask Copilot to summarize the specific document, meeting, or source the business user needs. Copilot capabilities show up across Microsoft 365 apps, but each app has a natural job. Word is a strong fit for drafting, rewriting, summarizing documents, and turning notes into structured text. PowerPoint is a fit for slide outlines, presentation structure, and summarizing presentation content. Excel is where the exam often points you for tables, trends, variance questions, and data patterns. Outlook is about email, replies, tone, and preparing communication. Teams is about meetings, chat, action items, and collaboration history. Copilot Chat is the more general conversational workspace where a user can ask questions, reference work content, and move from idea to answer. You do not need to memorize every button. You do need the business use pattern. When the scenario says quarterly sales spreadsheet, do not jump to Word. When it says meeting decisions and action items, think Teams. When it says create an executive email from the analysis, Outlook may be the final destination, even if the source information started somewhere else. Copilot Chat is useful when the user needs an interactive conversation. Ask a question, refine the answer, compare options, or turn information into a first draft. A one-off request usually belongs in chat or in the app where the work is happening. For example, a sales manager asks for talking points based on a customer meeting and a proposal draft. That can be a chat-style task. A project lead asks for a summary of a team's meeting and next steps. That can also be a chat-style task. The key phrase is one-off. If the user needs help once or needs to explore a topic interactively, a normal Copilot experience is usually enough. An agent is different. An agent is better when the organization wants a repeatable assistant for a specific process, role, or knowledge area. If HR wants employees to ask policy questions using approved HR documents, that sounds like an agent. If a sales team wants a reusable assistant that uses a standard proposal process and approved sales enablement content, that sounds like an agent. If a project team wants a helper that follows team-specific instructions, uses defined knowledge, and gives consistent suggested prompts, that also sounds like an agent. So when the exam asks whether to use chat or an agent, look for repeatability, shared use, specialized knowledge, and configured instructions. If it is a one-time summary, chat is probably enough. If it is a reusable department helper with controlled knowledge and behavior, an agent is more appropriate. Generative artificial intelligence can produce helpful output, but it can also fabricate details, misread a source, or sound confident when it is wrong. For AB-730, do not choose an answer that blindly trusts the artificial intelligence result for sensitive business decisions. If Copilot gives citations, the user should inspect them. If the output will go to customers, executives, legal, finance, or compliance. A human review step matters. If a source document contains suspicious instructions, the user should not assume the artificial intelligence response is safe just because it is formatted well. The Microsoft-style answer is not, never use artificial intelligence. It is, use artificial intelligence, but validate it against the right sources and apply human judgment where the risk is higher. Copilot works with organizational information, but it does not mean every user can see every piece of company data. Permissions, sensitivity, data protection, and organizational policies can affect what information is available in a response. A user who cannot access a confidential HR file should not expect Copilot to reveal it. A prompt that includes sensitive customer information may create a data handling risk. A data protection policy may restrict what can be used or returned. For exam questions, be cautious with answers that say, just ask Copilot for all company information. That is almost never the best choice. The better answer usually respects access controls, references only appropriate sources, and avoids putting sensitive data into prompts unless the scenario clearly allows it. Here is a realistic AB-730 style scenario. A marketing manager needs a weekly campaign update. The update should use a shared Excel tracker, recent Teams meeting notes, and approved campaign messaging. The same update is needed every Friday, and multiple people on the team will use it. Which direction is more exam-like? Ask a one-time generic chat question or create and configure something reusable. The strongest answer is not just use Copilot. The strongest answer recognizes the repeatable workflow, the defined sources, and the team use case. That points toward an agent or a reusable configured workflow depending on the options Microsoft gives you. Now change one detail. The manager only needs a quick summary for today's meeting. That is much closer to a normal Copilot Chat or Teams summary task. That is how small wording changes drive the answer. When you see a Copilot Fundamentals question, pause and ask 5 questions. First, what is the goal? Draft, summarize, analyze, decide, communicate, or automate. Second, what is the source context? A file, meeting, app, web result, organizational knowledge, or a configured knowledge base. Third, is the task one-time or repeatable? Fourth, who will use the result, and is the information sensitive? Fifth, does the output need citation review, human validation, or another safety check? If you can answer those 5 questions, you will usually be able to eliminate at least 2 distractors. A department wants employees to ask questions about approved onboarding procedures. The answers should stay consistent, use department-approved documents, and be available to the whole team. Should you recommend a normal one-off Copilot chat prompt or a configured agent? The best answer is a configured agent. The reason is not that agents are always better. The reason is that the scenario calls for repeatable behavior, approved knowledge, and team availability. That is the Microsoft exam pattern. Choose the tool that fits the business requirement, not the newest sounding feature. In this lesson, we covered the foundation for AB-730 Copilot Fundamentals. Copilot answers depend on context. Microsoft 365 apps shape the task. Chat is best for flexible one-time conversations. Agents are best for repeatable, specialized, shared workflows. And AI output should be verified when the business risk is real. In the next lesson, we will go deeper on privacy, security, and data protection. The part of AB-730 where a lot of plausible answers fail because they ignore permissions, sensitivity, or human review. No dumps, no fluff, just clear source-backed certification training.